All right, we'll get started here in about 5 minutes. How's everybody doing this fine Wednesday snowstorm evening? Check my emails. Looks good here. All right, let's go ahead and pop out the chat. Yeah, I shoveled twice today. I didn't have to. It's all melted. Oh well. At least I got my exercise in, right? All right. 4 minutes. The peanut gallery is here. I love peanut butter. All right. Tonight's topic will be Linux gaming on life support based on an article this morning I picked up on the news feed from Engadget. It's somewhat disappointing, but it's the truth. So we'll get to that here in a few minutes. Turn down my TV. All right. Ben is too worn out. I am too. But I'm here. I took a nap. I took a nap around 6 o'clock. The gaming topic would have been Ubuntu shell number 6, but there won't be a number 6, at least not in its current form. Ubuntu shell number 5 will be the final one this Sunday, which is the 24th. If we pick up sponsors, then I will schedule more shows accordingly. So that's why I'm doing the gaming thing for tonight. On the internet charter. Oh, STS, you have your internet went out? Okay. Okay. Yeah, my internet's been pretty stable. At least for tonight. It seems okay. I can't really complain. It works, so. But the storm didn't last that long, so yeah. Came and went. It should be all melted by tomorrow. Ubuntu is acting a lot like Microsoft lately. Well, if that means it just works, great. So you have stability issues. I don't have stability issues in my multiple Ubuntu machines. I don't have that, so you just have bad luck. Lightning? Oh, okay. No lightning here, just snow. Thick snow. And a lot of truckers thinking they're invincible. Passing lane, zipping by me in the big truck. Oh well. All right. Ben drank some Mountain Dew. Look out. Gamers drink Mountain Dew to stay alive. Keep going, right? All right. I will send out invites. Let me get to the topics for tonight, and then we'll have a short chat, and then we'll wrap this up. Again, the next Ubuntu show will be this Sunday, probably 2 p.m. local time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. New York time. Ubuntu show number 5. We'll see if we do any more. Time will tell. But the last one as of now is for Sunday. All right, let's get to tonight's topic. I'm running Google Hangouts, so one last thing before I forget, I might continue the Ubuntu shows as podcast-only format, shorter. Download Zoom and Skype. I've tested both for Linux and Windows. They seem to work. They seem stable. So if I continue the shows in podcast format, you can join me on either one of those two platforms. Now, you can debate which is better or worse. That's up to you. I ain't going to go there. I use what works. So, all right, let's go ahead and let me share the screen. You have Skype and Zoom. Okay, Ben, good. All right, give me a second here. All right, you should be able to see this now. So this is from Engadget. Linux gaming is on life support, on a life support system called Steam. And I'll go through this briefly. In September 2013, Valve co-founder Gabe Newell gave a rare 20-minute presentation at LinuxCon. He called Linux the future of gaming. I did too, if I'm not mistaken. And now, this is, let's go ahead and fast forward, 6 years now. Fast forward 6 years. Steam machines puttered out as an idea. They fell flat. Though Valve hasn't dropped its support for Linux, which is good. It maintains a Linux Steam client with over 5,000 games. Last August, Valve unveiled Proton, a compatibility layer designed to make every Steam title run open source. Okay, good. But here's the problem. This is where all the enhancements are virtually almost worthless. Almost. The percentage of PC players that actually use Linux has remained the same in 6 years, and it's a tiny fraction of the gaming market. 2%. Not 20, 2%. Linux is no closer to claiming the gaming world's crown than it was 6 years ago. Once again, I think my mom's homemade bread has a higher market share. 2%. Not good. So if we scroll down here to the end again, there is a link of this article below in the show notes. This is kind of a mixed bag of news, but the bottom line is 2% market share is pitiful. Let's scroll down here, and I'll get to the point of this. He says here, my hope is Steam's Proton project really takes off and Linux support is invisible. And Linux support is invisible to me. In an age of 3 consoles, PCs with millions of different configurations, and a market that is getting increasingly crowded by the day, the last thing I want to do is take time and money to support Linux, when historically this has offered no marketing or financial advantage. But if Steam does the heavy lifting, then that's a win for everyone. If we can get the market share above 2 freaking %. And the reason why the market share remains the way it is because we don't have a national or global standard Linux desktop. Right now what we have on the internet and on YouTube is a bunch of Linux geeks talking to a bunch of Linux geeks. And as wonderful, as informative, and as entertaining that is, and it's awesome, we don't have to convince ourselves to try Linux. We don't have to convince ourselves on the possibility, on the potential of Linux. We are the 2%. We don't have to tell ourselves about Linux. We have to tell the gazillion Windows users out there how good Linux is. And how do you do that? Well, part of it is what we do here on the channel, talking amongst ourselves, promoting Linux, being nice, being friendly, welcoming new users, and that's awesome. But unless the mom and pops, unless the families can walk into a store and buy an Ubuntu desktop at $400, all the enhancements, the improvements in Linux, whether it's gaming or whatever, it's almost pointless. Because again, we don't have to convince ourselves that Linux can be potentially a wonderful experience. I mean, look, I've been using Linux since 2006. I still use Windows. Windows 10 is my backup OS. I couldn't say that 10 years ago. I couldn't say that 5 years ago. But Windows 10 is my backup OS because Ubuntu Mate works. And I use different forms of Ubuntu, as you know. Linux Mint, the regular Ubuntu. You know, Ubuntu has such a massive influence on users around the world. I think it deserves a shot to become a national or a global Linux desktop. So how do we do that? Well, we get started by talking about it, like I have for the last 9 years. You know, trying to compare Linux versus Windows as openly and as honest as I can as a Windows user who has taken the beating of bugs over the past 13 years when it comes to Linux. But it is better. You know, sometimes I feel like that movie in A Few Good Men, Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, when Tom Cruise says, "I want the truth," and Jack Nicholson says, "You can handle the truth." I guess we can apply that to Linux and Windows users. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Gaming is not better on Linux. It just isn't. If we look at the gaming universe as a whole, Windows still dominates for a reason. Can it be better on Linux? Potentially, probably. But right now, at 2% market share, it's not going anywhere. And I want that to change. That's why I am a Windows user promoting Linux. I see the potential. I'm proof that a Windows user can potentially go to the other side and install a form of Linux, and hopefully that will be compatible. Now, again, if we had a standard desktop, that question mark would end. The compatibility question would be eliminated if we had a pre-tested Ubuntu desktop that the people can buy, take home test, and see that yes, a Linux desktop has potential. Now, once that low price machine sells and the word spreads about Linux to other families, gamers, kids, now we can have an Ubuntu gaming desktop that could be potentially better than Windows. But until we have that quality standard, circles, we're just going around in circles, and we still are 6 years, 2%. Think about that. That's probably why Windows users say that Linux sucks. Can you blame them? All right. Well, that's what I had to say on my opinion about all this. So, if you want to join the chat, just send me an email and I'll get you in here. I won't be on too long. I have to get up early in the morning, doctor appointment. So, let me get situated here. Those of you who are Linux gamers and enjoy it, feel free to comment. I don't game as much as I used to. I pretty much stick with Windows and the Xbox because it just works. So, yeah. Let me go to the chat here and see what's going on. I'll say hi to everybody again. Okay, Nuntrix, hello. I guess he left. Siva, welcome. Yugi, Sleepy, Peabody, Ben, Frost Ranger, Mugen, Mark, what's up? Hello, Stevie Boy. Seeker says, I need a beer. Oh, too many bugs in Linux tonight? Alexander, you are not too late, my friend. You are not. Hi, Dan. For me, the games that do play don't work perfectly. Fair enough. Ben says 2%. Yowza. I know. I mean, 2%. My mom's homemade bread is high percentage. I mean, it's really good bread. Sergey is constantly asking me to get out in the community and push Linux that way, whether it's a library. That's awesome, Steve. But once again, that will only get you so far. Me talking till I'm blue in the face. Me trying to compare Windows and Linux for the last 9 years, gaining and losing thousands of subscribers who some think I'm a genius, some think I'm a nut, is not going to cut it. We need a standard Linux box out there in Best Buy, Kroger Supermarket, computer store, Walmart. That will convince people. A physical presence of a machine, in my opinion. I want to talk about the problem you spoke about. That's why. About the Linux gaming thing, Alexander? Okay. All right, let me send some invites here. Yes, Sleepy, $400, that's a sweet. Now, I would not call a $400 Linux machine a gaming machine. Maybe low-spec games. But tell the customer, to be fair, this is not a gaming rig. Now, if they buy it and the numbers go up and it sells, then the powers that be will see that and say, hey, maybe it's time for a higher-end machine because the sales have exploded. Start small. Start with a simple $400 machine. Let the people see that, yes, it can run faster than Windows, less prone to malware. You start off with that. Once the word spreads, then you sell them a $1,000 machine. But you can't, you can't say, hey, give me $1,000 on something they've never heard of. It's just not going to happen. All right, so let me go ahead and start setting some invites here. Give me a few minutes. If you missed any of this, I don't really edit these. Just go ahead and replay it. If you have any questions, post them. If you need to reach me, you know how to reach me. TotalOSToday1@gmail.com. Again, after the Ubuntu Show 5, if the shows continue, they'll be probably in podcast format. Download Skype and Zoom. And we'll probably have a maximum of 10 people on, so everybody gets a chance. I mean, I could have more than 10 people on, I suppose, with Skype or Zoom. If I do that, the only thing is I'd have to keep my mouth shut, which is fine, to let all 20 people or more say what they have to say about that topic. And I'm cool with that, but it's usually easier with 10 people or less. So again, if you're interested in a possible future Ubuntu show, podcast audio only, download Skype and or Zoom. Both seem stable in Linux and Windows. If you don't use Linux or just Windows, that's okay. All right, invites have been sent. Did I miss anybody? Check your emails here shortly. Dan, do you want to join? All right. Windows 10 should have tons of support. Yeah, the Windows is not the problem, Peabody. Yeah. Windows has conquered gaming.
Hi, Toss.
Hey, Benny boy, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm a gamer, so I figured
Good.
I'd drop in and
Very
shed some
good.
light.
Well, what's your opinion? Go for
Yeah,
it.
well, what was the question? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Is Linux gaming on life support?
Um, I'd say it is very bleak right now. I mean, like you said, with only 2% market share in Linux, it's not looking good, my friend. I got to tell you. I mean, sure, the Steam Proton thing did help a bit, but while Windows still has like 98% of the market or 95, whatever you want to call it, because Mac does have a certain share of it, we need more market share, like you said, a national Linux distro, or else we're going to not get anywhere as Linux users. I mean, you know, I think, as we've always said, part of the main reason Linux is messing up in the world is because we don't have enough gaming resources for it. I mean, unless, Blizzard, EA, all these main game developers recognize that Linux is something they should be coding for, it's not going to get better. I mean, it's just the sad truth. Because, and here's the problem with that, okay? Blizzard are pricks when it comes to developing for Linux. They have always said, we don't want to do it. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but for some reason, they're just a-holes about it, and they won't make their titles available on Linux. And, I mean, it's just a sad peril of those people. And
Yeah.
what it is, just won't release their games on Linux, and Origin and all those different things. I mean, you can run them in Wine and things like that, but it's just not suitable because Wine doesn't work with everything.
Right.
It's not something that's really I don't want to sound like an idiot here, but it's not really newbie friendly to run Wine, as I'm sure you would agree.
It can be done in Wine. From what I've seen, it has a work from. It can be done, but you can't expect a newbie to go into the terminal, adjust this, change this, do that. It's not worth it to them. That's not.
No.
Why would they want to do that?
Want their stuff to work.
So right.
I mean, the trick is with Wine, it's kind of a pain in the butt, like you said, and. Wine is not a noob-friendly program, nor is, Play on Linux can work, but you still need Wine or whatever for it to work.
Yeah.
And, Wine is just not a newbie-friendly app. It's just, you have to add, like in Ubuntu and Debian, for example, you have to add a third-party repo for it to work. And Arch just do pacman-s Wine, and that is not by any means of the word.
Can you see talking like this to a mom and pop with their kid about edit terminal, and they go, it just ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
Well, with kids, it's going to be other kids that are in school with them, showing them how to put it together. It's not mom and pop are going to be lost.
It'll be like,
but mom and pop are spending the money.
Yeah.
What they say goes. So, Hi, Steve. Hi, Ricky.
Hello there, Carmine. Howdy, Rick.
How are you, my friend?
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Steve, do you do any gaming?
Not really.
Okay.
I got Steam on my system. I downloaded one, and I outside of once in a while, I play a Wii with my son. I just never really got into gaming.
Okay.
I just started gaming on Linux a year ago.
Okay.
And I was first introduced to it by English Bob and his American Truck Simulator, and it looked like a lot of fun, so I actually bought into that and loaded the Steam and the Proton and all that other stuff up. And then with Spatry, I got into Star Conflict, Westnoff, and a few others, and I've been really having a good time for it. I noticed that, though, with Linux, you only can carry these games so far. Like, if you want to do multiplayer in American Truck Simulator and get on a server with a bunch of other people, the online trucking part of that, you just cannot do with Linux. It has to be Windows.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
hi, Jesse.
Linux. Hey, Jesse.
It's Truckers MP. You need to install that even to do the Euro truck.
I hate to tell Linux fanboys. I don't want to use it, but I'll use it tonight. I told you so. I was looking at the analytics of this channel, and I've lost almost as many subscribers as I gained over the not so much lately. And like a lot of those was trying to, as honestly as I can, trying to compare Linux and Windows. The whole universe, including gaming. He's a no. He doesn't know. You're stupid. You're just a Windows idiot. This was back then, and when Linux market share was 2%. I'm going to unsubscribe. You're nothing. 6 years later, what is the Linux market share? 2%. No, I'm just kidding. But I call it as I see it. You know, it's easy for us geeks to talk geek talk Linux and Pac-Man and the terminal and sudo. It's wonderful to share this knowledge and learn off each other. But this is not conducive to a certain point to the mom and pops, to the masses, unless they walk into a Kroger supermarket, a Best Buy, Walmart, you know, Jimmy's Winery down the street, whatever. They buy an Ubuntu machine, take it home, and then they realize, oh, I thought this was for geeks. This actually works. Now, once they get into that Linux universe and they see how easy some Linux can be, Linux as a whole is not easy. You need to be very specific to newbies. Some Linux can be extremely easy, such as Ubuntu Linux Mint, Peppermint. Once they see it's easy and they play with it touchy-feely, kid, you know, mom and dad and all, now we can talk geek to them because now they get it.
Yeah,
they get it because they have it. They have money and time invested in it. You know.
I would love to touch on that subject, and it's one of the things I just commented on before I finally clicked the link and I jumped in here. Was that you always pump up Ubuntu as being like, you know, your best candidate for a national distribution of Linux that should be marketed to the masses, right? And it's like the exact opposite of what us geeks actually want, but it's exactly what the market needs, because I don't want Amazon up in my business, but that's what everybody else wants. Okay, I don't want Google up in my business, but that's what everybody else wants. I don't want Spotify up in my business, but that's what everybody else wants. But that's what the market wants to be able to access most easily and at their fingertips. And to be able to bring that and just be able to introduce people using this platform with all of the same services makes actual sense. So anything I say is not an attack on you. It's just my geek mode.
No, I look. One night, this channel, even 9 years later, I have to tell myself, and you'll never see advanced stuff on this because that's not what I do. That is not going to convince millions of Windows users to switch. I have to, in some way, still think like a noob, like a Windows Linux noob, because that's my target audience. It's not you. I mean, great, we're friends, but it's not you, Ricky. I mean, it's awesome that we're here. Okay. I have to convince the potential millions of Linux consumers out there. And if I talk noobish, as it were, as a Windows user still, now they can relate to that.
Yeah,
you see what I'm getting at? So
I'll be a 1 yearling next month.
Happy birthday. That's awesome. Now, how did you get started in Linux? Was it something I said or something somebody else said? Maybe you got struck by lightning?
The Windows user agreement. I could not get a pass for Windows 10.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I finally did install it this week, but I put it in a virtual machine, boxed it all up, and it was the same ISO that they gave you when it was free.
I mean, last month, ever so slightly, Windows 7 usage went up. It's 2019. Are you kidding me? You want to know why? Because a lot of people, millions potentially, don't care for Windows 10. Windows 7 was the last fun Windows operating system. I'll just say it. Never had a blue screen. Everything worked. There was no telemetry, no controversy. You bought the machine. You coughed up the money, but you got what you paid for. There was nothing sneaky about it. There was nothing controversial. There was nothing political about it. Windows 8 was an experiment. I give them credit for that. It didn't quite succeed, but I'll give them credit. It was trying something different. It wasn't the same old boring Windows as
Windows
opposed.
8 was supposed to work with the Windows Phone as well.
I think so. And they kind of came late to the game on the Windows Phone. Now Windows 10 comes out. It looks great. It works. But then the rest of the stuff. So.
Yeah, like I've had every version of Windows, literally from Windows 3.11 for work groups, all the way up until current Windows 10.
Right.
And I'm no longer a Windows user, and I've been off and on using Linux since 8.04 or Ubuntu 8.04 at various versions. I didn't actually use Ubuntu; I used Kubuntu at that time. However, whatever, same difference, right? And it was only part-time thing until kind of recently, because obviously, especially in the history of Linux, it's been very difficult to do what you want to do when all the mainstream is on Windows, which is where, like, I relate to your point. If you want to bring this to the masses, it's about bringing the most usability, right? The most used features to the masses, right? But sort of what did it for me was the 6 and 8 hour updates, and they always happen to happen when I'm in the middle of hashing out like 1,000 lines of PHP code.
Where's the frying pan?
And it doesn't let me save before it starts updating.
Right. Yeah. No, it's it's a shame, but nothing really has changed. Yeah.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
I mean, okay, how can this be good for gaming on Windows? You're in the middle of a battle out in outer space, man. You're going to kill the Death Star. Just a minute, Windows needs to update.
Feel the power of the dark side.
Yeah.
On that note, on my wife's laptop and that, she'll get a notification about an update, but I click no. It doesn't. I have never seen it in the middle of something all of a sudden want to shut down.
Okay, let me relate to that. Okay, I clicked no for about 8 months straight, and then it just did it.
Well, after 8 months, come on, cut us some slack here.
I should still not be forced to do anything. I should still have a choice. And if I'm going to be forced to do anything, they should at least give me a choice of when I do it. Now, when it actually happened to me, finally. Okay, it happened to me when I was in the middle. I was typing out some PHP code for a website I was working on, and it was all gone. And that particular update, because I'd been clicking no for 8 months straight, give or take 6 months, 10 months, whatever, 8 months, I'll play with that. And literally, it finally did it, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That update took well over 6 hours, and as soon as it was done, my system got backed up, formatted, and it was Linux since then.
There was probably a guy in Windows corporate going, "Come on, dude, 8 months, update already." No, just kidding. But
probably was a pile of more than updates after 8 months. It needed like 6 or 7 updates, all in one package. And you waited 8 months, so it had to go in, install one package. Okay, it's outdated. Rip it out and put in the next one until all that time got ate up and it got its final package.
Exactly, but here's the thing: on my Linux machine, if I don't update it for 8 years, and then I come by and I go in the command line and I update the distro and I update everything, it updates it then and now and there to whatever's current, without having to do all of that extra stuff that I really don't care about. Or it just tells me to RTFM. That this isn't going to work, and just go install the newest update. Just go install the newest distro or whatever, right? So.
Well, on the other hand, I've hit yes, and it didn't. Then it doesn't do nothing, And then you have to restart it. I restarted.
You got psyched.
The update didn't come down or whatever. I don't know what and that's still the issue with Windows. It's the update is very, very flaky.
Yeah. One thing I want to interject here is one of the reasons why Linux doesn't have good gaming is because all these companies, and I really do think this is my opinion, all these companies are afraid to put their code onto Linux because they don't know how it's going to react with other users. They don't know how it's going to be modified, and they don't know how the game is going to become native.
It comes down to testing and their budget for testing.
Yeah. A standard machine will eliminate all the question because it's a standard, unless you want to make bugs a standard. But no, I mean, if you have a standard, and I mean, look, I say Ubuntu. I don't care if it's based on Slackware or Gentoo. Chromebooks are based on Gentoo, just as long as it's been pre-tested and works out of the box.
By now that they would make a compiler when you write code for games and stuff like that, that it would spit the end results out for all different platforms: Linux, Apple, Windows.
And you know you can do that in Linux, right?
You probably can.
Yeah.
You know,
back
right now at this day and age, they should have a cross-platform compiler because the processors are all the same. They're all x86s except for ARM.
They're still variables, though. Yeah, especially graphics drivers.
You have to do. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have all the drivers in there, there's no way.
These could be loose ends that you just got to clean up.
Well, again, with the standard desktop, that would be all the cleaning, vacuuming, polishing would be done before it hits market. Just like any Mac machine is pre-tested and all this, or Chromebooks. It's Pixel Books, a flawless machine, but it's $1,000. I guess even a $200 Chromebook works pretty good. Even the ones that are even less money than that are pretty good. That's the potential of Linux.
So speaking about gaming, does Windows support Vulkan?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Well, I have an AMD 460 in one of my towers, and I did test it with Windows at one point, and it ran a lot of games fine, so I don't see why it wouldn't.
Right, like, so the question was resulting around just like Linux has native support for Vulkan, right? And we're using DXVK as a compatibility layer to go between DirectX and Vulkan so that us Linux people can use our Windows stuff, right?
Yeah.
Windows, I'm sure Microsoft is not stupid. And there's tons of companies out there now that are actually producing games that use exclusively Vulkan. And they must work on Windows, otherwise they wouldn't be able to sell their game, right? So we are creating standardizations that are cross-platform right now.
Yeah,
I guess the Steam machine was supposed to be some kind of a standard, and it just, I mean, it went Fred Flintstone really fast.
I think that's more to do with marketing and market share, because Steam is a software company, not a hardware company, right? But really, it's just a Linux distro on a machine that's branded with Steam.
The bottom line, it failed. It went nowhere. I mean, worse than nowhere. There was so much money probably poured into it initially, I would imagine. But like the billionaire, the guy who owns Valve, says, if we don't see a market, if we can't make money, why do it? But if there was already an Ubuntu desktop selling by the thousands or millions for consumers, now the numbers add up. But until you have that, and Chromebooks is okay, but it's not enough. Chromebooks is a good start. It proves that Linux doesn't have to have bugs out of the box, you know.
Well, here's another thing. I heard and read some information earlier this week coming down the pike that in the future, if you want to actually install software on your Windows machine, it has to come from the Windows Store. Windows reserves the right to delete anything else on your machine that did not come from its store.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll delete Windows.
Yeah.
This is supposed to happen within the next 2 to 3 years.
That's weird.
You know, Count Zero asked, was there too much fragmentation with Steam machines or Linux? Yes. If I'm a private, I'm a billionaire. I'm a private investor. I'm looking for the next great thing, and I'm into tech. Linux, I've heard of it. Let me go to DistroWatch and see which one I can invest in. I go to DistroWatch and I see 100 freaking distros, not to mention the hundreds or thousands of offshoots. If I'm a billionaire investor, I'm going, what the bleep is this? Forget about it. I'm out of here. But if there was a standard distro that's selling, that shows the moolah, the dollars, now as a venture capitalist, I'm going, that's interesting, right?
Okay, but now look at Linux as a venture capitalist.
That's what these guys are called: seed capitalists, venture capitalists, thieves. No, I'm just kidding. But
Crooks,
sorry, Carmine. I have to jump off.
Okay, Steve. Yeah.
Steve, it's good to see
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How's it going?
Again, if we had this, and Linux has been missing the boat on this really since Windows 8, we would have had a lot of the issues solved by now to prove to people that besides $1,000 Pixelbook, which has been described as flawless, you can have, in my opinion, a $400 Ubuntu machine or Gentoo machine or, cannoli machine, whatever you want to call it, that could be just as good. Just as good as a $1,000 Pixelbook. And that's the sweet spot. Okay? Hey, honey, this Christmas, that Ubuntu machine Toss has been talking about, he has one, it works. It's only $400. Let's buy a couple for the 2 kids we have. It's not rocket science.
This is kind of a far-fetched thought, but I think what would happen, okay, now if Ubuntu or something like that got that good, you could put Windows on the display at the store, and you could put Ubuntu right next to it as a DVD you take home, and both of them will function just the same, no matter which one you choose. Except one, you get Ubuntu, and everything in your machine that you purchased will work or built, and same with Windows.
I like to switch up between that.
Ben, mute your mic, please. You got your family
Right down
talking
to the
in background.
drivers.
I don't, just because
Well, the treadmill.
That's a heck of a thought, and it requires a lot of input also from driver developers.
Yeah.
That would be something that's never happened. You only have one choice when you walk in the store. You need to buy an operating system. If you want another choice, you have to buy an Apple with the system in it.
Again, there's no middle ground. Either it's Windows 10, a used machine hoping that Linux you install is compatible, or a $2,000 Mac. To me, that is unacceptable.
No, it's not acceptable.
It's unacceptable, and it doesn't have to be that way. There are nice Ubuntu machines on Dell System 76, but they're close to $1,000. Well, the Windows user says, "Screw that! I'll just spend $400 on a Windows, and I know it's going to work."
They're like that because of the driver issue and the hardware.
Mm-hmm. Right. Bad Wolf says, on life support, Linux gaming is alive and well. It is for the 2%. It's wonderful for the last 6 years, but that doesn't solve the issue. For us geeks, it's wonderful. What about the potential millions of Windows customers out there?
Games you can find on Linux will keep you entertained, and you can play them. You can find one or two of them that you really like. But if you have a friend that comes over, wants you to, and he's on Windows, and he wants you to play Farming Simulator with him, from your machine online, you can't do it with Linux. It only works on Windows.
Hence why Windows users say unfairly that Linux sucks.
Yeah. And
what am I going to say?
When it comes to gaming, and I've mentioned to Dan before, I also play the Trucking Simulator, right? And you play the Truckers MP online mod, which is Windows only. I dumped Windows. I don't play that anymore. I used to play online all the time. I just don't care because it's a third-party mod. And third-party mods, you know what? It's third-party. There are a bunch of guys that are making something for free in their spare time. They're going to make it for what they want, right? As far as developers making software, I've had a 98% success rate with running cross-platform right from Linux. So I really can't complain in that sense. Myself personally.
I wasn't really sure if that was a third-party glue-on or not. It sure looks like it when they're doing it online, though.
No, that's a third-party mod that is not supported by
SCS.
SCS, correct? Yeah, that's not supported by them.
Wow.
Looking in the chat here, Count Zero says you use Windows 99% of the time, but you love Linux. Wow. So you love Linux 1% of the time. Well, that's within that 2%, so it sounds about right.
Oh man.
I just gotta say one thing though.
Yeah.
If Windows says Linux sucks, then in response to that, I just have to say data collection sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason why people come to Linux in the first place is because of Microsoft and the crap they pull.
Fair statement. And all those Windows customers will say, "Great, you buy me $1,000 Linux machine." Not me.
And,
There you go, Toss.
And not
I'm
only
just
that,
being realistic here.
and
Yeah.
not only that, I was watching Switch to Linux's live stream not earlier, and Canonical seems to be going in a very similar direction with Ubuntu that Windows 10 and Microsoft are going. They are pretty much in 19.4, and you guys ain't gonna believe this. They are literally going to take apt out of Ubuntu and replace it with snaps.
So.
What?
So.
I mean,
okay. Here's my response.
Then you're slave to a store.
Hmm.
Your only source of getting software is from a single store.
well,
Maybe they're doing that for stability, quality. I mean, I don't know. I'm not on the inside. I've used snaps. Snaps work, so snaps work.
When I want to snap, it's usually outdated.
Okay.
Right. So my beef with snaps is that you install a bunch of snaps. Now install yourself about 24 snaps. Then go into your terminal and type DF for your free space on check your disk free space and all that. So type DF and tell me it's easy to read.
Maybe we should ask Canonical on why they're doing that.
They're trying to shove all of the cost of creating, distributing rather, apps. They're trying to put it on the developer, so the developer develops it. That's the last time anybody sees the code to it, and it goes in the store.
Okay, well.
And it's been explained that way from you guys for the last 6 months for snaps.
I'm sure they have their reasons of what's going on. I mean, I don't know. I haven't used a lot of snaps. The ones that I've used.
Pope said on Biddle one night.
Yeah, to me the snaps were, as long as they're working, they're stable. That's all the mom and pop. Yeah. Does this work?
They come from the developer unchecked by anybody else.
Yeah. Well, like Toss said, as long as they work, I ain't gonna whine about it.
Yeah.
I think the cool concept behind the way that they work and the way they're contained. I think there's some merit to that side of it. What loses me, and I wasn't even aware of the whole verification of the source code and all that kind of stuff and oversight. And if I disinclude that, because I was not aware of that until very recently, if I disinclude that, my beef is that every app you install shows up when you check your hard drive space.
Yeah.
It shows up like it's a separate partition on your hard drive.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should have Alan Pope back on the show and find out what exactly is going on. I want to be fair about this. I want to hear both sides. Again, I've used Snap app packages. They just work. And
they
honestly,
work if you want 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of them, but when you start getting into needing 20 of them, they become a real mess.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, again, without talking to him, I don't want to get into a controversial subject here or a potential, but because I just don't know the whole story. So, I'm on the outside looking in. I'm sure they have their reasons, and we'll have to wait and see if I get Alan back on the show because he does snaps, and we'll see what happens. I had a long discussion with Alan last year. You may have seen that. I said, why did you pick the GNOME? It's not a popular desktop environment. He says, well, it just made sense. Transferring, moving from Unity to GNOME because the development team was already there in place. Made sense. When he explained it, it made sense. GNOME is still not my favorite desktop environment, but once he explained it, I get it, and I'm cool with that. So I'll have to get him on the show again. But I think in the long run, Ubuntu's going to be fine, in my opinion. They know it. Look, they're making money. They are profitable, so they're doing something right.
And they gotta try to be as profitable as they can if they want to get that potential IPO.
You got to do what you got to do, as we say, But yeah, I'll try to get Alan on, and maybe this Sunday I'll send him an email and see what's up with the next Ubuntu 19 about the snaps and see what he says. Maybe he has a
That
perfectly
would make an interesting topic for the Ubuntu show.
Yeah, I think most of Canonical's money comes from their server section of their company.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
But-
it's server cloud services. Yeah.
But yeah, I will say an Ubuntu desktop Canonical would be nice because I mean, look what Manjaro is doing over across the pond here. I mean, they have their own laptop division. Some other Linux distros have their own laptop division as well.
Yeah.
Why can't Ubuntu? Why can't Linux Mint? Why can't
Yeah.
Peppermint?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Manjaro's kind of having some issues of their own because I think their development team has shrunk, and I've heard this from 2 people.
Well, I've thought about reaching out to Mueller and saying, hey, I know Manjaro tools really well. Why don't you hire me, for crying out loud? I mean, I'm helping Spatry with his distro and, Matthew Moore with his distro from time to time. I should be on their dang development team, for crying out loud.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I wouldn't required to get paid. I would just want to, help them out whenever they need me to. I mean, I know their tools. I mean, I've done it more than a few times. I could be a great help in their development.
I mean, I get the idea of snaps, self-contained software, all the dependencies are all, there's nothing else to grab and hunt to make it work. I kind of get it. And maybe that's a standard in itself. That's what they're shooting for. I don't know.
It's like the Android and app standard for getting apps from their stores.
So I get it. If that's what they're shooting for, no problem.
I mean,
here's an idea.
As long as you can still install Synaptic and GDebI, I don't care.
There you go.
That leaves Windows the only operating system left where you don't currently now need a store to install something.
Once again, we're talking geeks among geeks. Snaps, development, isolation, dependencies. You talk to mom and pop, they're going to say, huh?
They're going to say, what the heck?
Yeah, I will.
Snaps. Oh, like snap crackers for my kid? Yeah.
They're going to look at you like...
Right. They're not going to care. They're going to say, does this work? Can Junior play his game? Can Junior do his homework? They're not going to care.
They're like, can I do my homework on this month?
Right. You have to think like a paying consumer, not as a geek.
Be able to play his game because they'll have to get it from a snap.
Yeah, and they'll be like, what the heck is a snap?
Okay, well, this is how you click and go. This is how you install. You go to the Ubuntu Software Center.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to play Racer game? Here you go. Boom. But it's a snap. So it works,
And right now, the biggest advantage Canonical has right now when thinking about a potential Ubuntu desktop is the biggest advantage that Linux has on its side is unlike malware 10, Linux does not force you to update your computer and then all your hard work is gone. That's still a big problem with Windows 10 is Microsoft still hasn't solved the forced update issue.
Right.
Think about this. If a company like Canonical were so well known with Ubuntu, if they do something shady, sneaky, malware-ish, you think the community is going to let them slide? You think all the geeks are like, oh, let it go. It ain't going to happen. It just isn't.
Well, it's going to make it harder for the geeks to actually take a look at the code with the snap packages.
Then Canonical will be made aware of that.
I think they already know that, and they just don't. All they care about is numbers.
Okay, well,
the cost.
If the snaps work, if they're safe, if they're stable, I say so what? As a consumer, not as a geek, not as a so what.
I think I have a pretty good idea on how to improve on snaps, at least from my perspective of what my beef is with them, where everything shows up as like kind of its own separate mounted partition in my file table. Is that Snap just needs a little bit more work on its management system so that it can mount and unmount its apps as it sees fit at the time of execution and unmount them later on. You know what I mean? Because the problem that I actually have is that if I install 20 snaps I have 20 additional partitions that show up when I check my partitions.
You know, speaking of snaps, I tried to download Skype and it came up with the warning. Hang on a second. I'm like, what?
What's this?
Snaps are also resource hogs.
I mean, I don't know. All I know is, okay, here's a warning. I'm trying to download Skype as a snap versus from the Microsoft website. Okay. This revision of Snap Skype was published using classic confinement and thus may perform arbitrary system changes outside of the security sandbox that snaps are usually confined to, which may put your system at risk. It seems to me the Canonical team caught something and they're saying, hey, this isn't official from us, don't install it. Is this how you read it? I'll read it again. This revision of Snap Skype was published using classic confinement and thus may perform arbitrary system changes outside of the security sandbox that snaps are confined to, which may put your system at risk. How do you read it?
I read it as that there may be something in that particular program that may need a dependency that will get changed somehow.
It's possible that I'm reading it that it did not pass canonical security protocols. Maybe. I don't know.
That's putting a dependency at risk.
Okay. So they saying I could still, but I did. I just went to the official site and downloaded the
It's
Skype.
been a problem for years installing software the old-fashioned way through the app thing and stuff like that. Is you drag a bunch of dependencies down, but you don't know if that dependency's been updated to include stuff that other apps that are out there also need.
Exactly.
Well, this is how you solve it. They make the Ubuntu desktop, install snaps, has a built-in virus scanner, problem solved. Yes? No?
Is that a virus scanner or a virus scanner?
Here we go. We'll have to talk to Alan again.
We know how it works in Windows.
I understand that. I get it. I mean, I'm doing the best I can here, so, you know. I mean, the world of technology is changing like day to day, hour to hour. So, you know, all I can tell you is we need a national or global desktop to fit the potential, that market for potential of Windows users who want to switch to Linux and don't want to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on a Mac. That's how I see it. That's what it comes down to. That's why you have my mom's homemade bread, higher market share than Linux right now, it seems.
Is your mom's homemade bread? Does that come with free shipping?
Nope, sorry.
I'm screwed, aren't I?
It's a secret recipe, too. Anyway.
I don't need the recipe. I just need the product delivered in my door.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, anyway, that was the Skype warning. So I did not. Now, maybe it is safe. I don't know. I saw the warning. Thank you, Ubuntu, for the warning. I ain't going to install it. It's that simple. So.
Yeah.
Snaps perform slower count. I don't know, man. Snaps seems fine to me.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it's hardware, but here we go again. Which hardware is going to work? Something's going to work right or slow or whatever.
It may not be a speed issue. It's just an issue that they consume more hard drive space. If you have a small hard drive, snaps are not going to work great. If you have a terabyte, snaps may work wonderful. I
downloaded a Kdenlive, the flat pack. It was horrible slow. I mean, horrible. I did the app image. Bam, it works. So I don't know. Maybe it's my machine. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, that's an app that I can vouch for as well in Kdenlive that installed and operated much better when installed natively as opposed to any kind of.
I've downloaded snaps like for Spotify, Skype in the past, a few other things. They seem okay. There was nothing extra to hunt for to install to make it work, and that's why I like snaps, I guess. So, you know.
What am I? I'm actually. What do I have? I have one cryptocurrency wallet that I run as a snap. I have actually Shotcut installed 1, 2, 3. It installed 3 separate partitions on my in my table for itself. Minecraft installed 3 separate partitions, and I don't even play it. And a couple of other miscellaneous that I'm not even sure what they are. So Snap, what I find, my opinion, is that it installs way too much stuff that I have no idea what it is, that I don't even use.
Okay.
And that's where I based my entire opinion of it about. If
And
it
what
was,
happens
if it
when
was
you try to
simple and
remove
made
it?
sense, I would say a lot less.
What happens when you try to install it?
Install which?
Uninstall it.
You
What,
try to
snaps?
uninstall a few snaps that are
Hey.
like that.
That's a good question. Why don't I try that right now?
I've
Here, let's try
deleted
one.
snaps before. I'd have to use the terminal, which I'm not crazy about. I guess
These
you can
are
go through the
stuff
Ubuntu
that
software.
I'm not looking for.
Yeah.
What is it? Sudo snap uninstall or sudo snap remove or what's the
I think you go to the store and unremove it.
I guess nowadays you can go to the store. I take that back. You don't have to use the terminal. Yeah.
I don't know about the store, but if you guys want me to try it right now, what's sudo snap? Is it uninstall or remove?
I think it's remove. I believe it's. I haven't done it, but I think it's remove. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
If you install it from a store, you should be able to uninstall it from the same store.
You can. I have
If
done
you gotta
that
use
with
a terminal, you're cheating.
Every
Mom
single
and
thing
pop
I've-
is not going to need to know what the terminal
Right.
is.
Every single thing I've done has been from terminals. So
Yeah.
forgive me.
Well, because we're so used to it.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
I'm trying to take Carmine's position here as being the mom and pop person.
That's right. Dan is my executive assistant. Yeah.
Well, I beat him up in the other side for a half an hour now, so I'm trying to move over to his side and sell his point.
Thank you for being so respectful of the family, okay?
Yes. I have to talk about both sides, though.
Yes.
One thing that would be really cool, I mean, besides a Linux desktop, wouldn't it be cool, besides having a Linux desktop, Carmine, just picture this. I mean, you have something for the mom and pop, but then think about it. There's another side to of consumer that Linux hasn't properly targeted yet. I mean, they have it, but it's only the 2% gaming. What if somebody made a national Linux video game based console to where basically it would have its own little app store and you could get a whole bunch of your favorite Linux games that you could normally play on most Linux operating systems? Like,
Didn't they kind of try that with the Steam machine? I don't know.
Steam machines were only compatible with Steam OS, and,
Okay.
and they only use stuff in the Steam store.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is an actual, real, true Linux OS based gaming console to where you have
That's good. I don't think you can do that for $400. It'll be easier to build a simple desktop.
The rest of these gamers that are not related to Valve to come online, like ESAN or something like that does the sports stuff, is COC.
EA.
The developers, the people with the brains, the coders, they will follow the money. If they see an Ubuntu desktop selling by the thousands, they're going to go, aha, there's potential there. 2% is not potential. It's a joke. I hate to say that, but it's a joke, you know. To the Windows users, not to us, but the Windows folks, it's a joke. 2%, you know. Now, if it was 20%,
Linux would have to
25%,
exceed Windows to get some of these game developers to actually, come over to Linux.
for a Linux gaming desktop or machine to succeed, you first need a standard low-cost machine to prove to people that Linux can work. Once that sells, now you can build a national global Linux console gaming machine with a signature game. For example, Windows signature game is probably Halo, Master Chief. They would need their own signature game like Master Penguin or something, you know.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, out of the box here. But a signature with these, you have to have that killer game. The Halo is what sold the original Xbox because before that, PlayStations were kicking butt, I think. But once the Xbox came along, and then Halo came along, and I played, wow, now that's a quality game. Still is a quality game. So
there was a lot of people who loved Halo. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. But now it's like Fortnite and PUBG and crap like that. But it is what
now
it is.
Steve's saying 2% increase in sales would be good. Yeah, if it had increased year to year, we would be over 10% now. The problem is it's 2% for the last 6 years. That's not an increase. It's going backwards.
I ran sudo snap remove Minecraft, and it took 3 partitions out of my DF table, right?
Okay.
So I ran DF, and there's 3 partitions that it took out, right?
Okay.
So anyway, next thing I'm gonna remember that 3 partitions, like that's a big number. That's not just one install. That's 3 separate things it had in there.
I installed the last snap package.
So I'm gonna do a reinstall now.
I installed
how many
audio
gigabytes
recorder.
How many gigabytes extra did they give you?
I could not possibly tell you because I don't have a shortage.
Again, we're talking geeky stuff, which is fine. But for the consumer, they won't care if you use 1 partition, 60 partition with curtains and rods, and then they won't care. Does it work?
They won't care about none of that.
Then will it work? Do I have to return this? You know.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you buy a car. Will it take me to the grocery store when I need to go?
Right. They're not looking at compression ratio and how many camshafts, and unless you're the geek. Honey, this has dual cam. I don't know. It ain't gonna happen unless they're into cars, then But yeah,
I will say one thing that's really impressive to me, and that is the upcoming multiplayer feature in Super Tux Car. That's going to be awesome.
It's up and running.
Yeah, Sleepy says Extreme Tux Racer isn't killer enough.
I was just going to mention Super Tux because you're talking about games and whatnot, and I'm like, you're talking about Super Mario or whatever, and I'm like, I just like Linux making Super Mario with a penguin.
It's killer enough for Linux. Is it killer enough against the Master Chief? No.
Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time is Quake 2, and just recently I was able to actually get it to work natively on Linux through Yamaji Quake 2.
Yeah.
And by seeing that on Linux, that made me think, wow, what other games from the 90s could work natively on Linux if they had the chance they deserved? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if Halo worked on Linux?
Awesome.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice.
Master Chief versus the Master Penguin. It'd be awesome. Like I said of Cortana, you would have the Linux version of Cortana. The talking AI. I don't know what you would call her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I would be really happy if they brought WoW to Linux instead of having to run it on Wine.
Oh my lord!
That's like a 1 in a million chance.
I mean, if Warcraft came to Linux, you would be seeing a flood of people coming to Linux real quick. I mean, Warcraft is a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle for a lot of people. They use it for various reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they take it to work with.
There's so much money invested in that game, it would bring a lot of Linux users and we'd be flocking the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's very unlikely to happen because Blizzard's a bunch of nutballs who don't know what the heck Linux even is. Well, I mean, sure, they might know what it is, but they just don't give 2 craps about it.
Yep.
That's the sad truth. And plus, I've heard in the past that they sometimes ban users for getting on Linux, which is kind of a sad thing.
I think, to be honest, that's just stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't matter what operating system you use, whether it's Mac, whatever, but,
I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether people are using Linux, Windows, Mac. Heck, it wouldn't even matter if they're using OS2.
OS2?
Which I also used quite extensively for a very long time.
Which, not long ago, about a couple years ago, somebody made an operating system that is the spiritual successor to OS2. It's called Arca OS.
Really?
Mm-hmm. This operating system runs modern apps, and it's also compatible with any type of OS2 software you could think of.
Steven says Battlefield 1 on Linux. Okay.
So here's where I'm at with my little thing here. I uninstalled Minecraft, which took 3 partitions out of my DF table, and I went to reinstall it, and it no longer exists. So don't ask me how to reinstall it using Snap. When I do a Snap search Minecraft, I get Minecraft server. I get a launcher, which doesn't look like what I had, and I get about about a dozen or 15 other things that don't make sense to me. So
you may want to check the Snap website. That's where I go to check for the official Snap apps to see if they're there. Yeah.
Oh, I just checked my email right now, guys. There is a 85% off deal for 200 games going on right now on GOG.com.
Really?
Okay.
What do they run on Linux?
GOG does have a section for Linux games.
Okay.
They have 3 sections: Windows, Mac, Linux.
Right. You just reminded me, Ricky. I haven't installed GOG yet on this computer.
Well, you can do that later on.
Yeah, I'll do that later tonight. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't hurt my feelings at all because I don't need Minecraft for anything. Don't care.
I'm just signing into my account while I'm at it.
The most fun I've had a Linux game was that racing game. There's just something so throwback and silly about it. Hi, Bobby. Welcome. You know, swatting the driver with the fly swatter. It just cracks me up.
You can now get on a server with a bunch of your other buddies like us, and we can all play together and beat each other up.
Yeah.
Well, it's proven that game is stable, so yeah.
Yes, I played it with Spatry for the last month.
Yeah.
You talk about like racing on Linux. And
yes, it's super
what brings my mind is actually Grid Autosport, which has a native Linux version, and it's a proprietary game, but it's native Linux. Just like they have Windows and Mac versions as well, but it's native Linux. Best racing game I ever played that is supported 100% on Linux. Love it to death.
Yes.
And I'm ready to play any of you guys.
Yeah. Speaking of audio, that's another thing that the possible National Linux desktop has struggled with is audio quality. Linux has not done well with audio quality in over 10 years.
Multimedia, Linux in general, still struggles. It just finally the new Snap audio recorder can record without.
Yeah,
finally, it works. They fix it in Snap. Yeah, so it takes it could take 30 partitions. Just work, baby. Just work.
You know what? I've never experienced this problem.
Ubuntu Monte is the only distro that I have tried on bare metal hardware that will save all your audio settings when you shut it off, and they'll all be there when you start it back up again. Not once if I got on Hangouts and had to adjust my microphone or this or that.
In the past, when I was using Skype to record some of the news and nonsense with my friend Stephanie, I was using audio recorder, and it worked. Then something changed. It happened. It wouldn't work. Now with the new Snap package, it works perfectly. So I'm really happy about that.
I can actually see where Snap packages could replace apt. I mean, let's face it, guys. We've literally had apt like forever. I mean, even though Canonical is going to get rid of it, I mean, apt will still be used with other major distributions. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. But
there's still going to be like Mint or Debian or a bunch of spin-offs that can still run it.
But the one thing that I like about apt is everything is just there. If you need a specific package, it's got it.
So again, install the Synaptic Package Manager, and you have the best of both worlds in Ubuntu 19. Is that what the solution is?
I guess.
No, you don't have the other world.
Yeah, but you got to see what Snap installs.
So it's going to be completely removed? Okay.
Yes, it'll be Snap only.
Yep.
So there will not be an option then?
No.
At all?
No.
No.
But here's the thing, though. Even though apt will be gone, you'll be able to still use the Synaptic Package Manager, and you'll still be able to use Deb packages. Those have not been removed because those are the things that Ubuntu got from Debian.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, what about this question? if you have 1804 installed now next spring when they go to 1904, is your 1804 going to automatically update to 1904?
No, because 1904 is not an LTS.
You would have to tell it.
Yeah, it's not an LTS version, so you're just gonna have to do a force.
So I can keep what I have and not worry about all this baloney.
That is correct.
As of right now, 1804 has got 10 years support on it. It's going to be around for a long time.
And who knows if that feature 1904 is experimental. They're thinking about it. Who knows?
Right, exactly. You don't want to mess with.
So again, I'm not going to force judgment here until I talk to Alan, see what's going on. But maybe an experiment. So
Yeah,
the
it's just an experiment.
sorry. Now, the one thing they need to be careful with is, yes, while snap packages can be very useful, it's pretty much just like dealing with the AUR. You got to make sure there's no security risk, because if one little snippet of bad code gets into the snap area, that's going to infect something, and Canonical does not want that. I mean, everybody here remembers what happened to the AUR several years ago when malware was detected.
Oh God.
Well, we have a worldwide Linux police force to prevent that. So definitely need to get Alan back on a show and see what's going on with that.
Yeah,
but,
we need to hang out with him again.
I will when it's released. I have Ubuntu in my test lab. I will upgrade to 19 just to see what it's like. But there's supposed to be some performance enhancements to make it run faster. I'm looking forward to that.
I know for a fact that GNOME is still going to be the main desktop for it. I'm pretty sure that it will come with a much more updated version of GNOME by the time it comes out. It should already have 3.32 when it comes out.
Adam says, just ask yourself, would Tim Cook use deb packages? No, he wouldn't.
No, he would not.
No, he's married. Excuse me.
Yes.
Speaking of Apple, I read an article. I pretty much did a tech report on. Well, I'm going to be doing a new tech report article this upcoming Thursday. Apple is planning. You know how pretty much for many years, guys, to where Apple has kept Mac OS apps and iPhone apps separate. Well, they're pretty much going to change the complete app architecture system a little bit. Basically, they're going to make it to where iOS apps and iPhone apps are the same app. They're pretty much going to make it all one system.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a stupid thing.
I don't even know if it's doable.
I don't know if any single package manager is perfect. You know what I mean? I suppose each has its faults, but
right. Well, they're already porting like some of the apps within macOS Mojave into. I mean, they're porting some of the apps from iOS into macOS. They already started doing that with Mojave, so I don't see why they can't do that in the next version as well.
I quit taking updates for my iPhone because I don't want them to brick it.
Exactly, and that's understandable because, and that's why I moved to Android because, it doesn't have all those forced up updates.
Yeah. And the one thing about iOS that never really appealed to me is right after iOS updated from the 6 dot series to that pretty much was wonderful to pretty much iOS 7, the UI for iOS just went down the drain.
Yeah, it sucks after that. And yeah, I had an iPhone since version 5, I think. And I just, version 1.0 all the way up to 6 was great. But then after that, it sucked.
And the news about Apple making an iPhone with a triple camera system, I'm just asking myself right now, is Apple and Tim Cook just running out of ideas now?
I think they are. I think they are.
So now we have the S10 with this 5 camera setup, right? So it's 2 in the front, 2 in the back, I think. But like what kills me with Apple is that I don't have customizability, right? I don't have the ability. Like if I buy Samsung, I can buy the latest, greatest Samsung. I can still delete the operating system and install my own.
Right.
Even if I lose all kinds of features, that's okay. Even if 4 of the 5 cameras don't work, that's fine. I can live with that, right?
Right.
But on Apple, I can't delete the operating system and install my own, and that's a red flag to me.
Right. Ricky. Well, what drives me nuts about this phone, the LG Stylo 4, there's no root method for this dang thing. You can't do it. I mean, LG locked down the stinking bootloader to where if you try and run ADB on it, boom, instant reboot right back to the operating system.
I have a solution for you. I got a few hammers in my garage there. We can solve this problem.
Or the frying pan thing. Where's Tim when I need him? Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
12.1.4. This update will be almost 2 gigabytes in the phone. It's going to change.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Delete.
On a freaking cell phone.
Delete.
Yeah.
No more update in phone.
Yeah.
Right.
I just booted up, started Skype from the Snap as a Snap, man. It's like, bam, it's a lot faster. So Snaps can work. I mean, I'm impressed. Yeah.
Why not?
It's fast. So, yeah.
On Mint 19 on my hardware, I believe I installed the Snap for Skype originally, and it did not work. So I sourced the deb package in order to install it. I couldn't live with this Snap. Now, here's my experiences. All of my Snaps that I have experience with are through Mint 19, specifically Mint 19. I don't have experience in Ubuntu or Mint 18 or Mint 19.1. I have no idea. But in Mint 19, scrap that garbage. IMO.
Mint 18.3 is probably the most stable one out of all of them.
I have Mint 19. I reinstalled in my my ThinkPad, and you know what? The weather app now works. It's great. So
you know what?
Awesome.
That Lenovo G510 that Tim sent me. I'm thinking of checking Mint 19 on it, and maybe even this Dell because this Dell has dual graphics cards, and I'm thinking of trying out Mint on it just to see what the heck it can do. I mean, it works like you've always said. So why?
Kevin says, "How many themes do you need?" I set up one. Kevin, I'm with you, but I use one and forget about it.
Themes are cool, but I only run one.
Yeah,
that's it. I don't need a crap ton of themes to make my desktop look pretty. I don't.
Yeah.
I just pick one, usually Arc, apply a cool looking wallpaper, done.
I'm more or less like Ross. I set it all up and forget about it.
I even run the default. I've never even changed the Linux Mint default wallpaper because here's the fact of the matter is that I average 21 days. After every 21 days, I need to reboot my computer. Okay, and when I reboot it, I get to see the desktop for about 6 seconds, and then after that, I never have to see it again for another 21 days. So I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, I just like to run things in a smaller window other than full screen, but that's just me.
I was just thinking maybe that standard Ubuntu desktop should include 1 or 2 low graphics intensive games, just to show the consumer, hey, this is a low end spec machine, but it can do gaming well in Linux.
Yeah,
like Windows 98 did.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Tux Card or something.
Like Super Tux Card or something like that, yeah. Just something to get them off the ground.
Just something to show, no, you could do gaming. It's not a gaming machine. You can't do the intensive stuff, but it'll do the Tux Race or Master Penguin or whatever they're going to call it, But
whatever they want to.
Yeah.
You remember Windows 98 when they came out, and then you had the pinball, and you had a few of the other games they put in there. It's the same marketing play.
Yes, sure.
Yeah,
that would work.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, just put the pinball in there. They would be happy with that because that was a really cool.
Oh, especially with the little kid, he won't. You know,
Yeah,
have the license,
any
have the
young
bells
kid.
and ding, 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 ding,
Oh, look,
pinball.
kids, they
like
want to play Angry Birds and all that junk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pinball Tux Racer, and you have
Yeah.
yourself a distro that you can put out there with 3 games in it that make sense for it, that are 100% free. Sure.
yeah. I mean, that would make
Yeah.
sense. I don't see why not.
Works out of the box. You don't have to install an extra snap or dependency or terminal. It just click and go. Make it work like
Yeah.
Windows. Make it work like Windows. It will sell. Show them the update process. Doesn't take 6 hours. It takes maybe 6 minutes. It will
doesn't
sell.
Take 6 hours. It takes maybe a couple minutes.
You know,
3 to 6 at the most,
yeah.
and then they'll be happy.
Show them the proof. It's right here. You know,
Yeah,
it will
so
sell.
that it's not just for technical people.
There's a new Chromebook on Amazon with the touchscreen for like $200. That's incredible. I know it's not high spec, but still,
Yeah,
a Linux machine with touchscreen for $200. That's a laptop. It's awesome. You know.
it is.
Is it a tablet?
I don't think
It's a convertible.
convertible. Yeah, I think the tablet one is the Pixelbook where it converts.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
mean,
yeah.
put it
Yeah.
this way: do you want a somewhat Ferrari, or do you want a somewhat convertible? Put
So
it that way.
Okay, here's what I want. What would you guys recommend for me? I'm looking for a tablet that I can dump the operating system off and install whatever I want. But basically, I just want something that I can basically run Linux on, and Linux will interface with the camera. And I don't care about any of the other options. That's all I want.
well, the Pixelbook is a 5-in-1 machine. You have Chrome OS, Android, Linux, tablet, and dual boot Windows. That's the best bang for your buck. And I don't have a Pixelbook, so I can't test it. But Tim, I think, has 1 or 2 of those, and he swears by it. He's installed, I guess, Debian apps or Ubuntu apps. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's still in beta. But that's a
Okay.
5-in-1 machine for $1,000 is not a bad deal. So yeah.
Yeah, and price to me was not part of that question, of course, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not looking to spend $2 or $3 or $4 or $5,000 on something
Yeah,
like that, right? I want something under $1,000.
If
That would be perfect for that application.
I would, if I had the money, I would buy a Pixelbook because it's going to have everything I would want: Chrome, Android, Linux, dual boot if I want to, converts as a tablet, and they say it's a flawless Linux machine. It's flawless for what it does. That says a lot. You
As
know.
long as they're not like Apple, then I can't uninstall the operating system and install my own.
I don't think it locks you out, as far as I know.
I don't think so either. I haven't heard
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that. So,
But if
okay,
you
I'll
install your
explore
own
that.
OS, then it can't be flawless anymore. I mean, I don't know. You know.
Exactly, and I completely understand that, and that's of course being me. As again, we're talking geek to geek. No, we're
But it's
not
based
talking,
off of Gen 2, so there you go.
Yeah, I got my.
I
got
think
my,
anything
I got my
you-
vaccine for that.
Anything
Yeah.
that you can, by the manufacturer standards, remove the operating system, you should be able to have a way to restore it in case you
Yes.
in case you ruin it.
I don't know. I've never done it.
Even
Maybe check.
Windows gives you a
Yeah.
partition on their drive with a copy
There's
of
probably
Windows.
is a way to. I would
Yeah.
probably check the Google forums or the Pixelbook forum, whatever.
And
you
on
have.
Windows, I delete that partition as well. So
Yes, he bought a laptop and it had that restore partition on it, and he took it
it's
out.
gone. It's gone. First thing that goes, bud.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to wrap this up here in about 5 minutes or so. So I wanted to get this out. This wasn't on the schedule. It was on my list for Ubuntu shows, number 6, but there won't be a 6 unless we get some sponsors. So the Ubuntu show 5 will be Sunday, probably 2 p.m. It'll be public because it may be the last one in its current format. If we get sponsors, I will schedule accordingly, and I'll make days for those, plans for those. Last Saturday I did the show. I actually had to cut time short with my son, but I made a promise I would do the show, and I did it. It's hard to squeeze everything on the weekend. It's just too much. Anyway, Ubuntu Show 5 will be Sunday, probably 2 p.m. my time, or 2 p.m. Eastern time or New York time. That'll be public, so anyone can chime in. And that one's going to be, that topic is going to be the Windows factor. Pros and cons, if people hate Linux, love Linux, why Windows is better. So that'll be titled, topic is the Windows factor for Ubuntu show number 5. If I continue those shows without sponsorships, it'll be podcast format shorter. They'll be easier for me to do, to edit. I'm going to use either Skype or Zoom. So I've tested both in both Linux and Windows. It's stable. It seems to work. And I believe both, at least in the Windows side, have built-in recorders for me to record it and do the editing later, which is great. Now Zoom is 40-minute time limit for the free version. That would be enough. I want to keep them fairly short. 10 people at the most, probably less. Talk about and get it done. If I continue those that way, that's how I would do it. And if we get sponsors, then I'll bring it back on a regular schedule. So, but that's the game plan. I always wanted to do 5 and wait for the feedback. I didn't have to. There was positive feedback from week 1, so I'm grateful for the community for that. Again, there is a need for a sweet spot $400 Linux machine, and we don't have it. We don't have it. The fact that Windows 7 usage went up proves it, that the millions of potential customers don't have a middle choice. It's either Windows 10 or a $2,000 Mac.
Well, yeah, you have all these people that have a copy of Windows 10. They want to get it on a machine, and they want to get it activated with the key they got before Microsoft says, okay, we're not going to activate no more keys.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue to happen until Microsoft says we're not giving you activation for them keys anymore.
The time is ripe. It's been perfect since Windows 8. And
everybody in the comments section, smash that like button. Support all these gentlemen here.
Thanks, Ricky.
I can tell you that a Windows 7 key will activate Windows 10.
Okay. Well, I think you could still legally download Windows 10, can't you? If you wanted to.
I had mine from when they were giving it out for free, and it got to a point where it told me it needed to be activated and wouldn't take any more updates. And the minute I put the Windows 10 key in it, it took all its updates, and it was pretty fast too.
Windows 10, if it wasn't for not knowing how long the updates would take, I could deal with the telemetry. I could. I don't like it, but the fact that it's a double whammy, the telemetry, and wait till I grow a beard to do the updates, I don't like it.
Well, here's the catch.
It's like I grew a beard today waiting for updates. No.
Well, you're getting your updates. It's collecting your telemetry. That's why it takes so long.
See, that's why I need a Windows Smart Toilet. They can gather all the telemetry they want from my, because that's how I feel sometimes,
So, Toss, if you wanted to try Zoom and you want to try a premium, I'm going to go ahead and raise my hand and volunteer to fund you for the subscription to try it for a month, because I absolutely love Zoom.
Okay.
And I'll shoot you the 15 or 20 for what it is for the month and try it. And I would absolutely love to subscribe to that with you. I use it myself. So
thank you. Hold on to that for now.
I'll hold on to it, but I'll throw that in.
Now that's I appreciate. See, this is why I love this community. It's
not
wonderful.
not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's a matter of principle, right?
I understand. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, this just proves that we want the word to get out to see a Linux machine out there, and if we ever see it, it will be because of us, not me, because of us. So Switch says, "Did you see the new smart toilet?" I saw the new one last month from the Consumer Electronics Show. Looked pretty nice. Is that the one? I mean, I don't know.
I've seen one at Lowe's in their display over there, but I'm sure it's not the one that's got all the toys on it. The new one's got.
Okay. The one I saw, it had like LED lighting, and I guess the ones that like clean yourself when you're done. That's not a bad deal. That's not that bad because you want to be clean, right? It's just when it gets too smart, then you start, you piece of, but no. Anyway, the new one collects biorhythm data. See, I wasn't too far off. See? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Anyway.
Maybe we recommend a laxative for you.
Yeah, really. Somebody commented Ubuntu is SHIT, and I said try Tums. No, just kidding. But
Oh my god.
It's these trolls. You can't win with me, so forget about it, okay? You know.
I gotta pull out my controller and I gotta set up a sound effects thing for next time I log in.
Thank you.
Your stream here.
I gotta keep these fun and light because if you get all serious, then what's the point?
For sure.
Right? You know.
Right.
How long have you been using Zoom? You were saying.
Zoom, I probably have experience with it for about 1.5 years, maybe 2.
Stable.
It's extremely stable. I love it. I've been using it on Linux for well over 1 year now, and on Linux, it is my go-to absolute. Okay. Like I can't describe it any better. Now it is proprietary, and so that takes me an extra little step to recommend it. But I like it. I like it, and I like it because it's not integrated into any other platform. So if you want to stream your Zoom to your YouTube, then you gotta like put it on a screen and screencast it or window cast it or whatever you're gonna do with OBS.
You don't have to do that in the Windows version. There's a link, unless it's premium. But in the Windows version there's a link and it goes straight to YouTube.
Yes, you're right, and I don't use it because I prefer my way for other reasons.
Not a problem.
Yeah,
I'm looking for less work.
He's looking for some takebacks in case something gets out wrong.
There you go.
He's looking for somebody to blame. That's right. Yeah.
That's right. But no, I have both downloaded. I've tested both in Windows and Linux, and now people say, "Well, try Wire, Jitsi," and they probably work. I just don't want to spend all day testing different. I tested the 2; they work, and I'm keeping those.
I've used Zoom for Big Daddy and also for DT's chat shows.
I have too.
It works fine for that.
Yeah. Speaking of toilets, new report from National Wastewater Drug Monitoring Program says Australians spend $9.3 billion on drugs. What they do? Test their poop? Is that how they got that? Anyway,
wastewater monitoring program. Wow. Oh God,
that's a lot of money, even for the Australians. Yeah,
is that kangaroo meat?
I guess so.
Australia is a really interesting country. Really interesting.
Yeah, go down the outback, mate. You eat a lot of burritos, but you gotta have a lot of sounds out there in the outback. Yeah.
What do you think? They're upside down and backward.
Literally. And they like their kangaroo steak.
Wow, 9.6 tons of meth.
I've had kangaroo, and I love kangaroo. It's a beautiful meat.
Wow.
And they're a nuisance down there. You shoot those just for
I know, but they're so cute, you know.
Yeah, I thought they were endangered species until I talked to Sleepy Eyes. He said, "No, they're like deer in your country.
Oh, okay.
You cream one with your car every other day."
No. Deer in my country, you can't shoot unless they're in season.
Where are you at again?
Kangaroo in Australia, you just shoot them because they're there because they're a nuisance. It's
Jesse, where are you at?
A rat. Oh, I'm in Canada.
Okay, got it. I got relatives in Montreal. Okay.
Okay, well.
So Jesse's got the moose problem.
Then the moose are not a problem here either. It's not a problem. Those are just they're just food, and we still have to shoot those in season. If you shoot it out of season, you're going to jail.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Moose OS. There we go.
There we go. New topic. Way to change the subject.
There you go. Yeah, that's a nice segue. Okay, last call for comments in the live chat. Anything we missed? And I'm gonna say 99. I got to get up in the morning, take mama for blood work. So,
okay.
I wanted to thank everybody in the live chat, and of course everybody here who joined me for tonight. I might be on Friday night. I'm not sure. Yeah, I might be on. If not, I'll post the update Sunday for the Ubuntu show number 5. Yes, Anna, you are from Canada. Yes, I know that. Let's see here. Did I miss anything in the chat? I don't think so. I think somebody posted something on MeWe. Yeah, you can check me out on MeWe. So I know it sounds weird, but it's a great Facebook alternative. God bless you too. May the spirit of Steve Jobs bless you. God bless you too. Yes.
As of this upcoming June, it will be 1 year since I discovered Linux and all of you guys.
Nice.
Really?
That's about how long it's been for me too.
I discovered Linux in a popular science magazine or something where it said, "Are you tired of Windows XP? Try Ubuntu." And I was like, "What the bleep is Ubuntu?" You know.
I think 2005, 2006, I tried Linux for a while, and they had this stuff that was Apache made this server software you could add to your Linux, and it made an excellent file server. But that's as far as I ever took it because I couldn't find any other apps. Back then, I think they had OpenOffice. It barely worked.
It was called Apache, the same thing that runs everywhere
to go with the Linux. I could not find hardly anything to replace my Windows software with.
Well, we'll talk about that in the future show, I guess.
Now here I am
maybe
on
Sunday. Yeah, you got to have those Windows apps. How do we solve that in Ubuntu? Maybe we'll talk about that Sunday. And how do you teach
people what apps by the goofy names that they give them for what they do?
I get it. Dead Beef music player, really? Dead.
You tell a Windows user Caden Live. They might know what it is. They might not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use Dead Beef as my main music player. I've been it's on my main system here, which is running Antragos OpenBox and I've been running this system for a good few months now.
The calamari install. It sounds like a diet. It sounds like a recipe.
Rhythm Box sounds pretty self-explanatory to me.
I like Rhythm Box. See, that works.
The only thing I don't like about Rhythm Box, it goes through your complete music folder and steals everything out of it to make a playlist.
Now, here's the thing: is that's exactly what I like because you're talking to a guy that has a music library of about 100,000 MP3s. I wanted to go through my entire library and archive them all, so I don't have to go and look for them separately.
Hence, you're in Rhythm.
Yeah, I want to be in Rhythm.
I'm the opposite. I want to be able to play. I got my stuff all in folders for the moods that I get into.
And so mine are sorted by alphabet, and then they're sorted